When WandaVision first aired, the general audience thought it was a gimmick, an experimental sitcom show, a weird high concept epilogue to Endgame to deal with Wanda's grief. But the reality is, WandaVision was never meant to be a side story, it was a warning. Because WandaVision isn't just about Wanda creating a fake town to play house, it's about the first time we saw ontological authority in the MCU. It's about what happens when emotion literally rewrites the physics of reality. And Avengers Doomsday, that's a movie about a universe that can no longer tell the difference between what is real and what has been mandated. So, we are starting a video series on basically why each movie is important to Avengers Doomsday. So there was a thing that came out where basically one of the insiders and scoopers for the MCU, they put out a list of movies that are very, very important to Avengers Doomsday. So we're going to cover every single movie, talking about why it is important. And we are going to do one movie a week. So this week we are talking about WandaVision and why it is one of the foundational shows and projects for Avengers Doomsday. So this is Stevie. This is the Loreverse, where we talk things superheroes, fantasy, action, and more. Let's dive into this. Now, let's look at the core truth. Before WandaVision, reality warping in the MCU was always abstract. It was magical, it was rare, and it was almost always controlled by an external artifact, usually an Infinity Stone. And after WandaVision, reality is now something that can be rewritten by trauma. Wanda doesn't cast a complex ritual. She doesn't even use a machine. She just breaks as a person, and the universe bends to accommodate her pain. And that is a terrifying shift in the MCU's power scaling. We moved from magic to existential instability. And if the universe can be overwritten because one person is sad, then the universe has no objective truth. And Westview wasn't just a town, it was a localized reality rewrite. Think about the mechanics inside the hex. Physics behaved differently. Time moved inconsistently, skipping the decades in just days. And people had their identities completely overwritten, yet their consciousness remained trapped underneath. Does that sound familiar? That is the exact symptom list for an incursion. WandaVision gave us the first successful incursion style event, but it happened internally. It proved that you don't need two universes colliding to break reality. You just need one person with enough will to overwrite the local code. And this is almost and this is the most crucial part of the show. Vision wasn't an illusion. The kids weren't hallucinations. They were physical constructs stabilized by Wanda's belief. And the MCU established a dangerous precedent here. If belief is strong enough, reality will obey you. This isn't just chaos magic in the traditional sense. It's the ability to create something from nothing that functions as if it were always there. And this is the exact category of power Dr. Doom operates in. He doesn't just want to lead, he wants to be the author of the universe. And Agatha Harkness dropped a line that everyone seems to forget about. She said this: the Scarlet Witch is not born, she is forged. She is destined to either rule the cosmos or destroy it. See, the Multiverse of Madness didn't pay that off. It was a localized skirmish, and that prophecy was deferred to something much larger, to a moment where the destruction of the cosmos isn't a threat, but a prerequisite. To build a Doomsday or a Battle World, you have to first have a Scarlet Witch level event that clears the board. And Tony Stark and Reed Richards, right? They changed the world through intellect. They build machines, but WandaVision proved that emotion is way more efficient. Emotion doesn't need a blueprint. It doesn't need a permission or a power source. It simply overwrites. And Doom looks at Wanda and he doesn't see a tragic hero. He sees a inefficient master. And he realizes that if grief can rewrite a town by accident, then discipline can rewrite a multiverse on purpose. And here is like some deep cut lore that we can connect to. Inside the hex, time is a suggestion. Memory resets every single episode, and this is temporal dominance. The hex behaves exactly like the system Loki eventually adopts at the end of time, a pocket reality sustained by a single focused will. So Loki and Wanda are mirrors. Loki holds timelines together out of guilt, and Wanda held a Westview together out of grief. They both choose personal meaning over the natural order, and Wanda just proved that it could work on a smaller scale first. Now, most MCU disasters are loud, right? So aliens in New York, robots in Sokovia. Westview was quiet, though. People went to work, they smiled, they laughed, and they were screaming inside their own heads. Avengers Doomsday isn't going to start with, a sky beam. It's going to start with normalcy that shouldn't exist. It's going to be a soft apocalypse where everyone is happy because the author has mandated it. And WandaVision was the training ground for the audience to recognize that specific brand of horror. Why didn't the TVA intervene in Westview? The reason why is because it didn't create a new branch. It rewrote the existing timeline locally. And this is the ultimate loophole for Doctor Doom. He doesn't need to fracture time like Kang. He just needs to override it. WandaVision is the proof that you can change everything without triggering the time police. You can actually steal the car and repaint it while it's still driving. So, and Billy and Tommy, they also were proof of this concept. They existed without natural birth or historical casualty. They were reality constructs. And this tells us that Doom doesn't actually need billions of people to survive the collapse. He only needs templates. He can populate his new world with constructs given identity, just like Wanda did. He doesn't need to save the multiverse. He just needs to remember it well enough to print a new one. And look, Doctor Doom doesn't need chaos magic either. He needs a blueprint, and this is what he needs. He needs evidence that reality is malleable. He needs evidence that people will adapt to a rewrite and a model that doesn't instantly collapse under its own weight. So Westview lasted weeks before Wanda's conscience broke it. And Doom, a man of infinite ego and iron resolve, wouldn't have that conscience. He would scale Westview to the size of the multiverse, and he would never let go. And when Wanda finally destroys the Hex, the reality doesn't collapse into a void. It snaps back into its original state. That tells us two things. Reality remembers what it's supposed to be, and rewrites are reversible, but only if the author chooses to stop. So what happens in Doomsday when the author is Victor Von Doom? He will never choose to stop. He will wield reality into its new shape so it can never snap back. And this is the thesis here. Avengers Doomsday is Westview without borders. It's a reality that works. It feels stable. It functions. You have a job. You have a home. And the world is at peace until you realize you're living in a version of peace that was designed by a man who thinks he's the only one smart enough to run the show. So WandaVision wasn't phase 4 fluff. It was the first crack in the foundation. It was the moment the MCU admitted that the universe is fragile and that pain can rewrite existence and that total control can be disguised as a happy ending. Avengers Doomsday doesn't start with a bang. It starts with the same quiet, distorted hum we heard in Westview. And by the time the Avengers realized the sitcom has started, reality will already be under Doom's control. So this is a really deep dive on why, the things in WandaVision Dr. Doom has seen, and he's going to use that to build his battle world. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please like, subscribe, and ring this notification bell. And for this series, if you go to the podcast tab, you will be able to watch all of these videos here in order. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. Have a great day and peace out.